April 1945. The Third Reich was collapsing. All across Europe, German forces were retreating. Cities burned, supply lines crumbled, and Allied forces closed in from every direction. But beneath the cold waters of the North Sea, Germany's U-boats still hunted. Silent, hidden, deadly. Among them was the German submarine U-1206, a Type VIIC submarine of the Kriegsmarine. Built for stealth and survival, it was designed to endure crushing pressure deep beneath the ocean's surface. But in one of the strangest naval disasters of World War II, U-1206 would be destroyed, not by torpedoes, not by depth charges, but by its toilet. The Type 7 Charlies was the backbone of Germany's submarine fleet. Compact, efficient, and extremely dangerous, these submarines terrorized Allied shipping throughout the Atlantic. Life aboard them, however, was miserable. Imagine nearly 50 men packed into a steel tube, with barely enough room to move. The air smelled of diesel fuel, sweat, machine oil, and unwashed bodies. Fresh food spoiled quickly. Bunks were shared in shifts. Privacy, that didn't exist, especially when it came to the bathroom. Now, most people probably don't think about how toilets work on submarines. And honestly, neither did the Germans. At least not enough. You see, flushing a toilet underwater is surprisingly complicated. At deep depths, outside water pressure becomes enormous. If a valve is opened incorrectly, seawater can blast backwards into the submarine. So German engineers designed a high-pressure toilet system involving multiple valves, pumps, and pressure chambers. It was so complicated that many U-boats carried specially trained crewmen whose entire job was operating the toilet system correctly. Yes, an actual toilet specialist. Somewhere in the German Navy was a man whose military career consisted of professionally flushing submarines. And as ridiculous as that sounds, it turns out he was incredibly important. Because if you operated the system incorrectly, you didn't just clog the toilet, you flooded the submarine. On April 14, 1945, U-1206 was submerged roughly 200 feet below the surface off of the coast of Scotland. Its commander, Captain Karl Adolf Schlitt, needed to use the bathroom, and unfortunately for everyone on board, he decided to operate the system himself. Now, depending on the account, the captain either made a mistake with the valves or called for assistance too late after already messing something up. Either way, disaster followed. A valve was opened incorrectly. Pressured seawater surged backwards through the plumbing system and flooded part of the submarine. But the situation went from bad to catastrophic almost instantly. The seawater reached the submarine's batteries, and when the salt water mixed with the battery acid, it created chlorine gas. Deadly chlorine gas. The same kind of chemical weapon feared in the trenches during the First World War. Suddenly, the crew of U-1206 wasn't dealing with the flooding. They were being poisoned inside their own submarine. At that point, Captain Schlitt had no choice. He ordered an emergency surface. The submarine rose rapidly toward the surface of the North Sea, breaking through the waves into open air. But surfacing created another problem. They were now completely exposed, and they had surfaced directly into an area patrolled by Allied aircraft. Within minutes, British forces spotted the submarine. Aircraft attacked. Bombs and gunfire struck near the crippled U-boat. Already damaged, internally and unable to safely dive again, U-1206 was finished. The crew attempted emergency procedures, but there was no saving the vessel. Captain Schlitt gave the final order: abandon ship. Men scrambled from the submarine into the freezing waters of the North Sea. Some managed to reach shore. Others were picked up and captured by Allied forces. But 4 crew members never made it out alive. And beneath the cold gray waves, U-1206 slipped beneath the surface forever. Today, The wreck of the U-1206 still rests on the seabed near Scotland, a strange reminder that even the most advanced war machines can be undone by the smallest mistakes. In a conflict filled with massive tank battles, aerial bombardments, and devastating naval warfare, one German submarine met its end because someone didn't properly operate a toilet. And honestly, somewhere out there, that toilet specialist is probably still saying, "I told you so."